Hello everyone, my name is Lisa and I'm the Viet vegan because I'm Viet and I'm vegan, and today's video is just a chatty video over some clips of food that I've been eating recently. And by recently I mean this was filmed in September. It's November now, but turns out we went full circle because I have been eating these recently again. It's a lot of Vietnamese food actually. I'm back on like the Vietnamese food train. I don't know, I feel like I oscillate between like Korean and then like pasta and then Vietnamese food, and then I just like recycle through those things over and over. But you know what, that's just life. First thing that I'm making here is what I've been eating a lot when I'm like craving greens. A little did I know that my cycle I think was coming back like a couple weeks after this, so I think the craving for greens was indicative of my cycle coming back. It's been a glorious 9 months postpartum without it, and you know, obviously the 9 months while I was pregnant I didn't have my cycle. It was great. It was a great 18 months. That's like one of, I mean, aside from the baby, you know, like that's one of the perks of being pregnant is not having your period. I'm a big fan. I am cutting up some muống. I think in English this is called either water spinach, or I've seen it labeled as yu choy. I used to think it was a lot harder to find, but it is actually a lot easier than I thought it was. It is at Nations. I think a bag is like $6-7, and one bag is probably about like a reasonable person's 4 servings. But if you are like me and you can just eat a whole dish of greens with rice, it's probably closer to 2 servings. I don't know if your digestive system can take this like mine can, but you know, I've trained for this. But yeah, the way that I'm preparing this is I'm cutting the stem just above like a leaf, so that like there's pieces of stem that will still have leaf attached to it, but that way it's not just like one long string. It's just a bit easier this way. This is how my mom prepares it, and this is how I like to prepare it too. But if you're lazy and you don't want to do that, you can just chop like the whole like ends off and then just chop it in 3. It doesn't really matter. So to prepare this, I am filling a giant pot of water with a little bit of salt. I don't really know why, but I think it tastes better this way. At least the greens impart a little bit of the salty flavor, and you can use whichever salt you want, but I use iodized salt in like pots of boiling water where I can, because you know, the iodine is good for you, even though I do eat a lot of seaweed, so I probably don't need to do that. But anyway, I blanched the greens for about like 5 minutes, and like the color looks really bad here, but I swear like it's a lot more vibrant in person. But you just want to blanch it until like the stems are like pretty tender. If you've never cooked this before, you can always just like take a piece of the stem and just, you know, take a bite and see how it tastes, and you know, cook it according to your preference. But I like to stir fry it after with a little bit of mushroom broth powder, I think salt, pepper, vegan fish sauce, garlic, and a little bit of oyster sauce, and it is so good this way. It's like simple but so delicious. It's a good time. And so I'm taking the salted broth from blanching the greens and using that as the base of my ramen noodle broth. It is salted, so I'm adding like more water than I normally would, so that there's like more broth, but like also it's more water to dilute the seasoning pack from the ramen. This is like the mama pack of noodles. This is the artificial pork flavor. There is also an artificial chicken flavor and an oriental flavor, but the pork one is my favorite. Oh good, my camera decided to not focus on anything, but you kind of get the idea. I just put everything in the pot. I'm using some fresh tofu from the tofu shop in Mississauga. But yeah, this has been like a favorite nap time lunch of mine. And when I say nap time, I mean beans nap time. So this isn't really something that's like very bean friendly. I can't really feed them. Like, I mean, I can feed them ramen noodles, but I don't really feel like that's like the best choice for them. So I usually eat this on my own when they're napping, and it's a great time. Honestly, ever since Bean has started eating, it is like half a battle of like, this is really fun. I love feeding you the food that I like and seeing if you like it or not. And then the other thing is like, I want to eat things that are like possibly too challenging for you and you're just gonna cry. Like if things are spicy, or if things are like super chewy, like the water spinach, like I can't really feed it to them because they're gonna have like a really hard time with it, and then they get really mad because they can't eat the food that I'm eating because they just want to eat everything. Yeah, it's challenging. So I've started eating at like weird times a day because I eat during their naps. So their naps are like between like 10 and 11:30, or like 2:33 until like 4:30. The morning one is like pretty reasonable to like eat. That can be like breakfast or lunch, but like an afternoon one, it's a little weird. So my appetite timing has been a little odd, but you know what? It's fine. But one of the things that I've been making a lot lately has been banh mi, because the components of banh mi are actually pretty baby friendly. So this mushroom pate is something that I've been making a lot, and it's been like a big hit. And because it is like mushrooms and onions all pureed together with some soaked sunflower seeds, you have like a lot of iron, a lot of protein, a lot of fat. Like it's a great time. And Bean really likes this. It's like a nice savory sort of paste that goes onto either like toast or bread. Sometimes I put it on those like teething rusks, like the rice rusks. Is basically like a styrofoam oblong disky thing. I don't know how to explain it. Only other parents really understand what this is. Yeah, it's been pretty good, and I've been making a lot of this pate. I did upload this onto TikTok, and I had a lot of people like troll me on it. They're like, this is actually duxelles, and it's like, well, like the base of it is like mushrooms, yes, shallots, yes, garlic, yes. Duxelles doesn't have the intention of being like pate with the addition of nuts or seeds, so anyway, I don't really know what people want from me sometimes. The TikTok app is like really confusing, and like the comments sometimes, it just like makes me really question whether or not people have critical thinking skills, because I will say things in the video that directly answer the questions that people have in the comments, and they'll be like, I don't know, like I posted one recently where I was in a car taste testing cheese, and I had mentioned that it was a clip from like a couple weeks prior in the video, and like I had started the video saying like, oh, I'm whisper shouting because Bean is sleeping in the next room, and people are like, you're in a car, how can there be a next room? And I'm like, did you watch the video? I don't know, I've had to like let go. I don't know, I find people can be so judgmental in the TikTok app, like in the comments, and it's like really disheartening sometimes. I don't know, I've just like kind of stopped reading the comments after a while. Some of the comments, like TikTok is like really anti-vegan. There's like some people who are like really excited about vegan food, but if somehow my content shows up on the For You page of someone who's very not vegan, they are very loud about how much they hate vegans or how gross vegan food is. And I just don't really understand, because it's like, have you never eaten a vegetable? Have you never eaten soup? Like a lot of soups tend to be vegan. I don't know. It's a weird take. Before I launch into like a big spiel about like social media and boundaries and like what I've learned when it comes to like how I feel about certain things and like how people's perceptions affected me, I'm gonna just briefly talk about the food just so that I don't completely lose focus here. But I'm just making like the pate here. If you want the recipe for any of these things, it's listed down below. But for the filling for the banh mi, I started using like omni pork strips. They sent me strips last year or maybe the year before, but I didn't share it that much on social media because I didn't really want to share stuff that people in Canada don't have access to. But omni pork is now available at certain retailers in Canada. It's still kind of hard to find, but they just started selling it at Coven close to me, so that is someplace where I will be going to get more omni pork stuff. So that's why I'm feeling comfortable sharing the products here now, because like I really like omni pork products. This is not sponsored but they did send me the stuff like ages ago. It was like really good in banh mi. So I'm seasoning it like lemongrass thịt nướng. I use like garlic, lemongrass. I think I use soy. I don't even remember what I used here. There's onions. Okay, I'm watching myself make it again. Okay, lemongrass. It was like super frozen for a while, so like half of this cooking was me just trying to like chip away at the strips. Okay, so yeah, sugar, fish sauce, obviously vegan fish sauce. This is like sweet soy sauce because I think normally in Vietnam they use like a certain like caramel color. I didn't have that, so I just used like the sweet soy sauce. It's like the quesap manis, I think it's called. It's like one of the main ingredients in like mee goreng. Black pepper and toasted sesame oil. Yeah, this was just me like kind of messing around with like different versions, but I have a recipe for this like thịt nướng marinade down below. I can link it. It's not this exact recipe, but it's, you know, more or less very similar. I think I just added the sweet soy sauce and the toasted sesame oil here, just for a little variety. It's like really good in banh mi. We ate this for like 3 days straight. It was a great time. Eddie has the chili peppers from my grandpa's garden in it. I personally can't do that because my digestive system is not strong enough for that. So that is what we've been having. And I've been eating banh mi with like a Vietnamese egg omelette, and I've been using like a different Viet scramble as well. So I'll link those down below. But yeah, basically the rest of the video is just different versions of banh mi. And if I ran out of banh mi bread. I just used regular bread. But let's talk about feelings. I don't know, like the last year of TikTok has made me sort of realize a lot of things about myself and made me sort of like come to terms with like what is like emotionally healthy and not emotionally healthy. And as a result, I just don't really go on the TikTok app as much anymore. Like I scroll for like maybe like 3 or 4 videos, and then I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm just not really interested, because I find a lot of people just like jump to conclusions, and like the content that I do actually really enjoy there is either like reality TV sort of like reviews or like political stuff. But anything else where like people just kind of dogpile. There was a video that I did last year where I was making like a cheese ball, and I talked about how I accidentally, like I was joking about it, but I was joking that I accidentally guilted Eddie into going vegan, because like, you know, at the time he wasn't vegan, but he was eating mostly vegan food at home with me. And there's one day that I was feeling like really tired and I didn't really want to cook anything, so we went out for food instead. And at the time we had the agreement that like if we went out for food, Eddie could order whatever he wanted, whether or not it had animals or not in it, right? And he ordered like a chicken dish at the time, and I ordered obviously the vegan dish. And I remember just like thinking to myself, being like, if I had just like stayed home and made dinner, like Eddie wouldn't be eating chicken right now. And like I felt really guilty about like his consumption of chicken at the time. I've had some people say like, you know, that's ridiculous that you take that responsibility upon yourself and that you're emotionally manipulating Eddie into feeling bad about his food choices. My intention wasn't to make him feel bad about it. It was me feeling bad about like, you know, my responsibility that day was to make dinner and I was too lazy. So instead of that, we went out for food, and as a result, chicken was consumed, right? It was just like me sharing my feelings, and I didn't even like say anything to Eddie like during the meal. It was like afterwards that Eddie just kind of like saw me feeling down, was like asking me about it. And like, I'm not gonna lie, like he asked me to share my feelings, and I did. And people were saying like I was emotionally manipulative and I was like guilting him and all that kind of stuff. And like, and it's like a 60-second video, right? And so I can only share so much in those 60 seconds. And I personally didn't see anything wrong with it, because I assumed incorrectly that people could see that like Eddie has responsibility for his own actions. Eddie chose to go vegan without me knowing. He chose to go vegetarian without me knowing for like a long time, and I didn't even realize it, because like I said, at home we normally eat vegan at home, and he started eating vegetarian and vegan like when he wasn't with me, and I didn't know for like the longest time. And yeah, a lot of people were like saying that Eddie should leave me, I'm toxic, I'm an emotional manipulator, and all that kind of stuff. And like at the time I was like also 9 months pregnant, so I was like pretty emotional about it. And Eddie sort of stopped me and was like, you know, like you can't take responsibility for my actions. Like I am a grown man, I can choose whether or not I am vegan, and he chose to be vegan. And like that's something that I just sort of had to like remember, that like people's perceptions may not always be correct. The more I am on TikTok, the more I'm like, you know what, like people can say whatever they want. They don't know me, they don't know the relationship that I have with Edward, they don't know Edward. And so yeah, it's just like letting go of like people's perceptions, and just like I can't control what other people say or what other people think. I just have to like feel secure in like how I feel about our relationship, how Eddie feels about his purpose to be vegan and motivations to be vegan and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, that was like a year-long journey of sort of like stopping to feel the responsibility of how other people perceive me. And yeah, I don't know, I think it's been a difficult journey in that sort of sense, but it's made me a lot more resilient, I think, when it comes to that kind of stuff, because like I get that kind of stuff all the time when it comes to like when people hear that I'm being vegan. People are like, you should be giving your baby the choice, or you should be giving children the choice, and blah 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 blah. People just get all up in arms about like vegan children and all that kind of stuff. I used to feel like really hurt or frustrated that people thought I wasn't a good parent just because I'm vegan, and I realized it doesn't really matter what other people think, and it's not really my responsibility to make sure that they think that I'm a good parent. Anyway, that's the whole thing with like TikTok and honestly social media in a nutshell. Like everything online is like about perception, and it's made me a lot more like self-assured in my decisions. So my decisions to like have certain people or not have certain people in my life anymore, my decision to share or not share certain things online, especially when it comes to being like, even on my like personal Facebook pages and my like personal accounts, like I don't really share as much stuff as I used to share. And like I am still pretty open about like regular life stuff, but I'm not really open about like interpersonal issues or like, I don't know, I think I've just updated my boundaries a lot more, and I think I'm doing a lot better without strangers weighing in on personal things in my life anymore, which is, I feel like I should have done this like a lot sooner. And granted, I feel like the rapport that I have with the community here on YouTube is like because I have shared so much of my personal life, and like I will continue sharing like personal things about me, like for example, like, you know, my journey with like self-care and mental health and all that kind of stuff regarding social media here. Like that's like my personal journey, and I think I will continue to share stuff like that. But especially when it comes to like people in my life, my friends, my family, that kind of thing, like I'm just gonna leave that offline because I think it's just a healthier boundary. So yeah, as you can see, this is like a version, and like a different version of the vegan egg scramble that I used to make. I used to use the just egg vegan egg liquid mixture, but in this economy, you know, we gotta scrimp, we gotta save. So I now bulk it up with tofu, and I actually find the texture is like way better. And this is how I make like my regular tofu scramble, my Viet tofu scramble. Yeah, it's a great time, and Bean really likes eating this, and I feel pretty good about it because, like, you know, tofu is like pretty high in calcium. We get to eat delicious egg scramble while also extending our budget. You know, it's a good time. In these times, we gotta do what we can to scrimp and save. So anyway, that's the video. That's the chatty video. I hope you enjoyed this very rambly chat about boundaries and social media. Yeah, the last 2 years have been a lot of growth for me, and I appreciate being able to share it with you. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this video, and thanks for watching. Have yourself a delicious day. Goodbye.